Greetings and salutations, viewer. It is I, Eric J. Chucci, joined as always by the boy.
Hi.
This is the Two Nerds Podcast. We start as always with what's crumpin'. What's crumpin' with you, fella?
Well, I have started watching. This is something I'm not going to go too deep into. An anime that I watched as a child, and it's still good. No more details for now. You'll see why later. I have been enjoying playing the new WWE game. Making guys is fun again, and that's been nice. I can't really think of anything else. What about you, White Raven?
Nothing else. It's not a segue into our main segment of the show.
Yes.
Of course. Yeah. It's actually been an eventful week for me. Most of it happening yesterday. I've also been enjoying the things you were talking about. Of course, I think it was Wednesday, we found out that and I'm going to say this here in lieu of later on, that the price of the Nintendo Switch 2 is going up by $50, similar to the other modern consoles, given the state of the world. That price increase makes sense, unfortunately. I had been waiting to buy a Switch 2, hoping for either a tech upgrade or a price drop, as often happens. But they advertised the price increase, and I went, shit. I'd better get out in front of that. And there was something that was really, another tipping point in getting me to be excited for the Switch 2, and that was Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. Had just came out at the end of April. And I really liked the first game that I played on one of the DS's, 3DS maybe. There's a 2DS for me, but... So I was kind of excited to jump back into that, and I keep seeing all this stuff of people making all these creative, islands full of fun characters and silly interactions. But I was under the impression that it was a Switch 2 title, so there I was salivating. Well, with the price increase, the upcoming Star Fox remake, the upcoming maybe Smash, again, this is news we'll get into a little bit later, I was like, you know what, I'm going to bite the bullet. Let's go ahead and do this. I'll spend the money. I've got it. I've been saving it for exactly this kind of thing. It was either this or a Steam Deck, and I believe Steam Decks have vanished. Switch 2. So I went to my local GameStop, and I bought a Switch 2, and long, frustrating story about how they tried to hoodwink me out of a GameStop subscription by lying to me. I wasn't sure that they were lying to me until I sent an email to GameStop corporate, or, their customer care. Not directly communicating with the store, I'm trying to say here. And they were like, wow, yeah, that's deceitful. We will issue a refund on that post-haste. It is not actually in our systems yet, but once it is, we will issue the refund. So that was a nice resolution.
Boo to local GameStop. Yay to GameStop corpos.
Boo to that employee in particular. I cannot judge all employees by the actions of one. If I go to my local GameStop again and that employee is working there, I don't want them to get any credit for my purchases. You lied to me. You just lied to me. The lie specifically was, if you get this today, it's basically free. So I assumed there was going to be some kind of discount on my console purchase or something. I know they do it with used stuff a lot, but I was buying a brand new one, of course, and she knew that. And then I was looking at my receipt later, and I'm like, well, there's no discount for anything here.
Yeah, that's just a lie.
That's just a lie. I would have accepted like $5, $10 and been like, all right, I mean, you're pushing it, but whatever, make your money. Just a lie, though, not cool. So... I have been playing what I found out was a Switch 1 title this whole time. I could have bought it 3 weeks ago, but I did eventually purchase it, and I have been playing a little bit of Tomodachi Life, and that's been fun. Otherwise, I've been working hard on setting up a universe in 2K26, and watching Mystery Wrestling and such. Yeah, that's there was one other thing that we've been doing.
Small thing.
Yeah, just a minor, eensy-weensy, teensy little guy.
So Daredevil Born Again Season 2 came out and is finished now, and we watched it. White Raven?
Yeah, what's up?
What did you think of the show?
Spoiler-free review. We're still going to do that. However, guys, remember, if you use a little scroll bar to see when the image in the background changes, you can skip this whole section if you don't want spoilers for Daredevil Born Again. So, spoiler-free review. That was phenomenal. Daredevil in the last year has climbed up into one of my favorite Marvel characters. It is largely down to Charlie Cox. I've just become enamored with him as an actor, and he elevates this role. Vincent D'Onofrio redefined Kingpin without actually redefining Kingpin.
He purified Kingpin.
What a great word.
He distilled Kingpin down to the purest form we have seen. Daredevil Born Again Season 2 is, I say this with, I think, hopefully, without controversy, the best season of Daredevil television we have gotten to date. Now that's high praise.
It's really only in contention with the Loki series for best Marvel show.
Hawkeye was also very good.
Oh, Hawkeye was good. I forgot about Hawkeye.
But, like, it's up there. It's up there in your Hawkeye, your Loki, your Peacemaker for comic book property television show, like the kings of that genre.
Yeah.
It was genuinely phenomenal. If you like Daredevil, you've already watched the show. If you like prestige television, but not really comic book stuff, and for some reason you're here, maybe you're just a big fan of our takes on wrestling, watch this. Watch Daredevil. It's really good.
End of the spoiler-free section, and I don't know how spoilery we get, but at least we can take the gloves off if we want. I watched the first 2 seasons of Daredevil when they came out. So, like, what, a decade ago?
God, yeah, probably.
More than that, probably. I enjoyed them. I thought they were pretty cool. And I caught up on the MCU except for Ms. Marvel, because it is not targeted toward me as an audience. Not that I will not watch anything that's not targeted toward me, just that it's enough outside my purview that I couldn't get through the first episode. I will try again someday. And What If, because I just don't care.
What If is What If. I'm not a huge fan of What If comics anyway.
As a comic that takes me 10 minutes to read, fine.
As a multi-hour streaming show.
I'm alright.
I watched the first season of What If. It was pretty good. I haven't watched anything since. I have not caught up on Ms. Marvel, for the same reason as My Compatriot. We've mentioned it on the podcast before. And Ironheart, I just literally haven't gotten to it yet. I fully intend to watch Ironheart.
I thought Ironheart was solid, but that was before I watched Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Man, I liked the first season a lot. I liked it a lot. This season delivered in ways I did not think possible.
The first season of Daredevil Born Again was really good.
Yeah.
But if I'm being completely honest, I don't know that it fully lived up to the original series.
It's tonally different, so I think it depends on what you want from your Daredevil.
Absolutely. However, season 2, honestly, probably surpassed the original series. So, swings and roundabouts, and I'll take that deal.
Yeah, I was stunned that a reference I made early in my watching, as we were talking about it through the week, came to fruition. Oh boy, I exclaimed, we get our own V for Vendetta.
But tailored to modern events in our country. So,
well, I believe Alan Moore said that America shouldn't make a V for Vendetta film. It's not about their politics. They should make their own V for Vendetta. Check and mate.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, the V for Vendetta movie is much more about us than it is about Britain.
Sure.
It's one of the reasons he hates it.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's also not a comic.
He'll find a reason.
Yeah.
This is the one. This is the one he found. We did it. We made one. We very much made one of our own. And ours is fucking dope and cool.
Yeah, it was really solid. There's so much to cover. I want to, before we get too far into the weeds, every time Karen Page shows up in anything after Daredevil Season 3, I'm so excited for Karen to be there.
Karen Page is, honestly, to my recollection, not a humongously big deal in the comics. Like, she's an important character, and then she dies, and then I don't believe ever even comes back.
Probably comes back. It's comics.
It's comics, probably has come back 7 times and is a superhero now. I don't know. But that's to my recollection. Karen Page in the MCU is one of the leads of this series. She holds the same billing in my head as Matt or Foggy. She's one of the leads, and she's so cool, and she feels so earned as like a lead in this series that I'm just as excited to see what she's up to as I am anyone else.
Yeah, it's not like when I played Spider-Man on the PlayStation and was like, oh, Mary Jane level. Cool.
It's an MJ level. Oh, well, time to have no fun.
Yeah. Whoa.
A lot of the stuff Karen's doing is more interesting than the stuff Matt is doing.
And she's just got such a strong character. You can see the way her life has turned her. And I do really believe if you want to fully appreciate Season 2 of Born Again, you have to watch the rest of Daredevil. I wish that wasn't the case.
No, yeah, this isn't one where you can jump in. You need the homework.
You could, you're just not going to appreciate it the way you would.
If my first Marvel movie was Endgame, I'd probably have a pretty good time, but I wouldn't know what the fuck was going on.
And I don't think it's quite that bad, but all of the nuance is going to be lost.
And there is so much there's so much building on stuff that not just from season 1 of this show, but from the original series. There's so many callbacks to the original series. And like they build on it thematically, and they bookend things that started in season 1 of this series thematically. It's just, I often we will do a compliment sandwich where we'll gush about what we liked about a thing, find something to criticize, and then wrap it up with more positive feedback because we like being positive. I don't know that I have the filling for the sandwich. I don't have criticisms.
Hold on. I've got one thing, and it's not really even that much of a criticism. It was just a personal experience I had. I waited. I also want to slide in here. I said I caught up on all of this MCU TV in the last year. It was for this season. I heard Matthew Lillard was going to be on the show, and I went, well, shit, now I have to. Because you had told me you liked the first season, but it wasn't like essential viewing.
I still believe that.
Yeah, you might be right. It's good.
Essential viewing now because you need it to get to the next season.
Sure, right. That said, in around the middle of the season, there's a fun little flashback sequence with Matt and Foggy in their early days. At which point Matt reveals he doesn't mind feet in a sexual context. And because I was binging it, the next episode, Wilson Fisk is going through some real shit, capital R, capital S. And at the back of my head, there's still... Daredevil's into feet. That's the best I've got as far as a complaint goes.
I got nothing, dog. It was just a really good TV series.
It was phenomenal. The time flew by while I was watching it. I'm usually the person who's like, I can't keep going with this. I had to keep stopping because it was bedtime.
You know what? I found a thing. It is a tiny logical nitpick that full disclosure, I've seen online. I'm gonna steal for my compliment sandwich. It is hilarious that Wilson Fisk at the end of the series, it's a major spoiler, is offered a deal to like get out of going to prison by the district attorney of New York or whatever, by the important person who can make the deals. If you renounce your American citizenship and go into exile, we won't pursue you. Just get out. We're tired of dealing with you. Just leave. And he's like, no. And then he kills 30 people with his bare hands. And then he's like, okay, well, now I'll go. And there's context that makes that make sense. But the fact that the deal is still on the table after the 30 murders that happened in between it being offered and him accepting it, it makes it feel like he's like, well, hold on. I do have some stuff I want to get done first.
I wonder if they won't say that he killed all those people, because the sound effects imply that, but not all of those injuries were definitely life-ending.
The guy he wrapped around a column is almost certainly dead.
He killed at least 3 people. At least 3. But I don't know that it was everyone that he punched. Because Daredevil does that shit all the time, and he's not killing people, categorically.
Well, Daredevil doesn't have superpowers, and MCU Wilson Fisk absolutely does.
No, but it's also a superhero film and a fictional film. A guy can get hit in the head with a pipe wrench 5 times and be fine.
As opposed to that being a life-changing experience that makes everything different from him afterwards.
And these are normal guys, not superhero guys. This is a guy in an alley being
You're absolutely
threatened.
right. Comic book people are a little bit more resilient. That's absolutely fair. It's a very amusingly ironic sequence. Some people are upset about it. To them, I quote the Tao of Sid Haig. It's a fucking movie.
They went hard on the breaking celery. I'm not going to argue with that.
There was a lot of celery.
Everyone had a gross salad afterward. I don't know how you do such a good job. Punisher people, I grab you by the temples and I force you to look at Vanessa. Because you introduced a whole swath of characters that have nothing to do with the comics, and none of them mattered and nobody cared about any of them. And you didn't even make them matter in your own show until kind of in the 2nd season.
He is speaking. Are we willing to say who specifically you're speaking about?
I forget her name.
Agent Madani. In the 1st season of The Punisher, lifts right out and is completely extraneous.
In the 2nd season of The Punisher, she's not that much more involved.
But Vanessa, brand new, or maybe is Vanessa in the comics?
I will double check while you're making your speech.
I'm almost certain the answer to that is no.
I'm 90% certain she's not a thing. I think.
Or, at the very least, I'm 100% certain I've never heard of her before this series. Vanessa, the character, and Kingpin's had, like, a wife in other continuities. He's had, like, a family that he's lost in various other ways in other continuities. But Vanessa, in this series, is such an important contextual and textural add that redefines Wilson Fisk, that gives him so much more nuance and depth. Because I love the Kingpin because he's got mad swagger, and he's the fucking Kingpin of crime, and I like that he looks like a fridge and it's all muscle. That's all very fun to me. But Wilson Fisk in this series is a character you can empathize with, whilst being no less of a complete fucking scumbag. He's exactly as bad a person as he always is. But he's so much more easy to empathize with because it's very real that he actually isn't a complete, utter narcissist in this edition, in this universe. He does have genuine love for exactly one person. One, not two. If you've watched Echo, which I don't recommend, it's very bad. His affection for the main character for Echo is incredibly narcissistic. It is incredibly based in his own conceptualization of himself as someone who is caring for this person. But he doesn't really make an effort to treat her like a person. He treats her like a prop. It's a great contrast to Vanessa, who he does treat like a human. Her wants and needs are both cared for and adhered to. He's willing to change whole aspects of his life to make her happy. He's willing to compromise on things which he otherwise would not compromise on to make her happy. Because he does love her as a real human and is a real genuine emotional connection that just elevates the character to such an amazing degree. Not to mention, the character herself is awesome. I've tried to give you as much time as I can, but I'm out.
Yeah, she originally appeared back in the day in the 60s.
Wow!
As like a cameo and a full appearance in 1970. She was a major character in the comics in the she was a minor character in the comics in the 2000s. The ending of this series mirrors very similarly what happened when she died in the comics. She was then gone, until the Jackal got a hold of her.
Uh-oh.
I love the Jackal. I love the Jackal more and more as time goes on.
Well, we know how that went.
But she was not as much of a fixture.
I've never heard of her before.
No, this is the first I had as well.
It's not like I'm comics illiterate. I'm not like the comics guy. That's fair. I will take the L on that.
Yeah.
This is a classic character that I had completely missed, but I've just never heard of this character. I've heard of Kingpin's wife a couple times.
Sure. But I think also she was, given the number of appearances she had and how much space there is on a comic page, I wouldn't be surprised if they really elevated her material here. She's a very three-dimensional character. Kingpin is a horrible guy. I love him. I love this incarnation of him, but I love him as a villain. I don't agree with him. He's clearly evil.
No, yeah, he's obviously the bad guy. If you don't think Kingpin is the bad guy...
I hope you get a job as a deputy mayor.
Because you'll learn.
One way or the other. Vincent D'Onofrio's performance in this is so transcendent. It takes everything about this character. And, I like Kingpin, but I'm not even a huge fan of the one from, the Spider-Man animated series. Or I love them treating this guy with respect. That's part of what drew me to the original Daredevil, is that they made Kingpin feel like a figure to be feared. A guy who, despite, at that point, not ostensibly having any superpowers, being someone you needed a superhero to topple. Even if he is a street-level superhero. And they really just take that material and elevate it. I am curious, I find myself curious about Vanessa's impact in her original run. I want to see how much translates, especially seeing how similarly they followed the resolution from the comics.
Well, that makes me like this series even more. Even if I don't know a thing from the comics, you adapting it faithfully makes me like your thing more. Just because it shows respect for the source material, more respect than even I had. I'm not read up on Daredevil like the makers of Daredevil. I like it when the people who make the thing know more about it than I do.
Well, and this is what I would rather you do other than inventing Madani, and I'm 90% sure she was not in the comics before the show, because I remember having up the Wikipedia page for Punisher and seeing who these characters were, because I am not familiar with the Punisher stuff.
No, I'm vaguely familiar with, Barracuda and a couple of the crime families. That's all I've got.
Right. I think most of the government agents, and especially Madani, I believe they were all invented. And that's fine. You're allowed, like I just said, so long as you do it well, you're allowed to invent characters for your show.
Just don't suck.
Yeah.
I mean...
But when you interpret them, when you do a deep dive and you're like, no, we're going to grab this person, this is significant to the story we're trying to tell, I think we can turn them into someone real, go for it. That's why I like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies so much. A lot of those characters are pretty dissimilar from who they are in the comics.
But they feel fully realized.
They feel well translated. This new incarnation of them is solid. It wasn't done for shock or awe or disgust like a lot of the initial Ultimates timeline was. Well, I understand Ultimates has been kind of beloved. I think they ended it recently or are going to end it recently. And it's become beloved in the time since. But originally, it was just...
It's prequels. It's the prequel syndrome. With enough time, it'll become beloved.
Sure,
so long as it's not awful, it'll become beloved.
Well, and I think...
It'll find its tribe, and they will like it.
I think they also just continued telling stories, and they got good... Oh my god, so are you telling me that in 20 years I'll get my wish?
Yeah, probably.
And we'll have an army of people clamoring for the respect of Paul. He was a nice guy.
I mean, look, I want to be performatively upset, but yes, unironically, the people who are children reading Spider-Man comics, which is no one reads comics, but the people who are children reading Spider-Man comics right now, yes, we'll probably like Paul.
Catch 60-year-old me looking like Captain America but fatter. Hand to my chest, eyes closed, beatific smile on my face. The kids are gonna be all right, I say. Because they've learned to respect a good man. A good man who did what he thought was right. That'll be fun to unpack later. I hope we get some comments on this one. We almost never do, but when we do, we appreciate each and every one of you. I do read them all. We could talk for the entire 45 minutes on this show.
But we got other segments to get to.
We do.
And thankfully, because we have other segments to get to, we don't have to try and find new and interesting and different ways to explain to you that this was fucking peak.
It goes above and beyond this had cool fight scenes. And it did.
Yeah, extremely cool.
These are great actors. This is the kind of shit that made us fall in love with the MCU in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, like, just respect for the source material and joy in its adaptation.
Even a dark story. I don't like prestige drama. I don't like prestige crime drama.
But you put a man in a funny hat.
That's not even it. It's not even the outfit. I think it's the mentality behind there being someone in an outfit. I was saying to you that if someone made something that is the entire setup of Daredevil, except instead of a vigilante, Daredevil is a detective, it would lose something.
I actually, you mentioned that, and I thought about it, and you're right. I can nail down the exact thing you're talking about, and I know it loses something because you hate this thing. The series Justified is the exact same crime narrative, but the Daredevil is a cop.
And he just changes his personality. It changes what he's able to do, it changes what he has at risk, and it changes the way he approaches a situation. He has the comfort of authority. He has nothing to hide. He's coming from a place of, of
systemic power.
Yes, systemic power. And I don't mean this in the way that only the little guy should triumph, but it just changes the tone. And I like the tone where you're a vigilante better. Punisher doesn't wear a cape. Other than the Madani parts, I really liked Punisher.
It's, because the vigilante is approaching the situation from outside structures of systemic power, they are not therefore tied down by those structures.
Yes.
And they are able to seek a more pure form of justice than someone who has to get a conviction in a court would have to do.
They also are tied down by different parts of that structure, so they have to operate in a way that's more interesting than
get a warrant.
We just get 50 guys to go arrest him.
Yeah, get a warrant, storm their house with 150 guys.
Yeah. So it becomes, that is kind of what happens at the end of this show. But anyway,
they didn't get no warrants. No warrants were issued.
Well, I suppose.
That when you storm with the house with 150 guys and you're a superhero, that's because you are so fucking baller, you're so based that you convinced 150 people to also break the law with you.
Well, there was a warrant, but it was unrelated to the storming people.
Yeah, they were not. They're unrelated. They're not affiliated with them.
But I do like police shows and detective shows and things like that, but I don't like them from this prestige angle. I like them being cozy, like Murder, She Wrote, quirky, like Columbo, kind of fun, like 10 Speed and Brown Shoe. I have nothing against a cop show.
Also, from at least 30 years ago, you may have noticed that pattern.
They just don't make them like they used to.
They made a quirky, cozy, fun cop show. Modern. You hated it.
What was that one?
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh. I just hated the main character. He's a bad faith interpretation of Star-Lord.
He's a JD type.
Yeah, and I don't like JD from Scrubs, for clarity. He's the guy who ruined the show for me. No, I didn't watch the fake season. I think I could keep going. I could keep going. And it's not even like you said, oh, we gotta fill time. I could gush. I could gush forever. This was
We might come back. Look, we're going to be doing a year in review. Expect to hear about Daredevil again.
Yeah. Most likely. Any final thoughts before we move on to our next segment?
I'll just reiterate, if you like anything, if anything we've just said sounds interesting to you at all, watch the show. Trust me, we're not doing it justice.
No. Unlike Matt Murdock, who does justice. That would be a great outline to switch on, but actually now is our call to action. Before we get to that next segment, we got a Discord. There's a whole link tree in the description. It's full of these links. Go there, click them, do things. If you want to come hang out with us and talk whatever, so long as you're cool, we're happy to have you. We mostly talk about wrestling, mostly. If
you come and talk about other stuff, we'll talk about other stuff.
Yeah, unless we don't know about it, and then I'll be like, I'm sorry, man. Maybe someone else in this Discord can talk to you.
I will be all, talk your shit. Tell me your
thing. Yeah, you can explain it. There's books that I wrote in that link tree. There's an urban fantasy series called COLT REGAN. There are 7 books in it, 8. I don't know. I don't remember anymore. I'm working on another one. I think I'm working on the 8th. 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. The most recent one is Hallow's Eve. I recommend start again as a starting point. It's the 5th book, but it is like kind of like a soft reboot-ish.
It's a good jumping on point for new readers.
I think it's a better book than the first one, but a lot of people have argued with me on that. We have a Patreon. You can get gameplay videos a week early. You can get violent profiles a month early. You can suggest podcast topics and gameplay things, games, I guess you would call it, games for us to play.
Yeah.
Playing games for play. Those are all the different tiers. There's also a bunch of exclusive stuff on there. There's some of my writing on there for free. So if you just want to follow the Patreon, you will also get some stuff. And of course, all the usual YouTube stuff. If you like, leave a comment on your thoughts on the show. Subscribe to the channel to see our next videos. Not only does that, make me feel good, but it is also helpful to the greater algorithm to getting our show out to more people.
This channel isn't monetized, so it is deprioritized in the algorithm, as I understand it, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So you liking, commenting, sharing, that actually really does help. If you like this show, and you think other people might like it, I know it sounds corny, but circulate the tapes, man.
Moving on to our reactions to news from the nerd world. As I briefly mentioned at the top of the show, Nintendo announced a Star Fox 64 remake for the Nintendo Switch 2. That's coming out in June, July, soon.
You will once again have cause to use your horrible broken instincts regarding the invert look setting.
It is Star Fox that caused me to need to invert my controllers.
Yes, that is the reference I was making.
I'm letting the people know. New York City renamed one of its streets. Which one was it? Essex Street as Jack Kirby Way. Why? Because it's right by Delancey Street, which is Yancey Street.
Incredibly based, New York City. Great job. Do more of cool shit like that.
Yeah, that was today. That's awesome. Jack Kirby's a legend. Love or hate some of his original ideas. Some of them are fucking wacky. Cough Eternals, cough New Gods, cough. But the guy knew how to draw, and he had one hell of an attitude.
He drew bubbles like nobody's business.
Jesus, so inspirational. Lego, at least for now, has raised the age of their sets. It used to be from whatever age to 99 years old.
4,
now
I believe.
It depends on the set.
Oh.
Now it's to 100 plus. And that is because of David Attenborough reaching his 100th birthday. So happy birthday, David Attenborough.
Yeah, very, very cute thing for Lego to do. It's always been, it has been an amusement for several years on the internet to point out when someone is too old for Lego.
Yeah. And I think they added the 99 plus a while ago, but, it's nice. It's nice not. Good PR move. David Attenborough done a lot for wilderness stuff and...
just a fun little nod.
Yeah.
Nothing too serious.
No. The Guild is making a movie. That is Felicia Day's formerly online. I think it got on Netflix later. We watched most of it. Series about a group of MMORPG players who meet up in real life eventually and get up to shenanigans.
Yeah, this is from the ancient days of the nerd takeover of popular culture. As I understand it, a few of our fans may literally be too young to remember this.
Maybe. It's been out there. I don't know how well a lot of the humor is aged. Given...
I almost guarantee badly.
But I've been seeing the dude who plays Vork in a lot of ads lately, and he does weird esoteric comedy bits on his socials. So if you're into those, you might drop by him and see what he's up to. Felicia Day, of course, runs an empire.
Yeah, I have not seen much from any of the people besides Felicia Day since the Guild.
No. The one dude did that Legend of Zelda parody that was okay. Lanterns dropped their teaser trailer. This actually, saying this, This felt like a trailer. The text says it's a teaser. Usually a teaser is like, a slow motion zoom in, out, or around an iconic item or person from the show, and then it says coming 2028.
Oh, well, this is actually a solve for a thing that you've been complaining about for years. Teasers are now what you think trailers should be. Trailers are the summary of the series.
Okay, what are the old teasers?
First looks, or I think I've heard them referred to as, and I'm not joking, pre-teasers.
I don't like that, but there are things I like less.
And you getting your version of a trailer back is nice.
Yeah, that's not bad. I do enjoy getting to know what a movie is about without knowing what the movie is from time to time. So this is for the TV show Lanterns that's coming out. Why don't you give your thoughts on it? You're more the DC/Lantern guy.
I think it's a very interesting idea. One that I have had in the past, full disclosure, to do the Green Lanterns, to do a Green Lantern property as essentially a police story. In this case, they're going with a buddy cop story, perhaps drama. Doesn't seem like it's very comedic. But with Hal Jordan in this case as the elder statesman Green Lantern, and Jon Stewart, aka the best Green Lantern, fights are not available. I am right. As the young sort of up and coming Lantern in training. Which is very interesting. That's a very interesting dynamic. Rarely do we see an interpretation of John where he's not already established.
Yeah, I agree.
That's been popular in the last few years. I've seen some animated movies, bits and pieces of them that I know exist, where he's like so new he doesn't even really know what a Green Lantern is. And I've thought that was an interesting take. I haven't really had, the drive to look more into it, but I know that's the thing that has become more popular in recent years since I have fallen off watching animated DC stuff. So that is a very modern interpretation. I think this is a fun dynamic that they have going on, where Hal Jordan is essentially like Columbo.
I like that we're getting established Hal Jordan, because young Hal Jordan, early Hal Jordan in the comics, he's got big default superhero energy.
Or he's a prick.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. We're getting a little bit of the prick. And a lot of times when you get Hal Jordan, he's stubborn. He's the paladin, the classic D&D paladin who the stop having fun guy.
These same character traits on a young guy come across as arrogant and cocky. On a guy, the age of the person the character they're putting in the series, they come across as grizzled and salty and like a veteran.
Yeah, I like it.
It's just the exact same personality traits, but they're more palatable from an older person.
I will say, unless you had something else to say about this trailer. Teaser.
It looks fun.
Tweezers.
It looks, they've hidden all the superhero stuff. Don't worry, folks. They're not going to surf Dracula this. They've learned their lesson. We will see the Green Lantern stuff. I trust James Gunn. Did you just remember what Surf Dracula is?
I thought it was a real movie, and I was very curious because Vampire Dad's a real film, but that's not. I remember. If your favorite Green Lantern is someone other than Jon Stewart, I think that's acceptable, but it does say something deep about you, unless it's Kilowog, and then you're fine.
Kilowog is also entirely
That's
valid.
a fine choice.
Valid.
It's just not mainstream. That's all. Our last bit of nerdy news is that Aaron Paul has been cast in season 3 of Fallout.
He's a great actor.
That's interesting.
He's, one of the two pillars behind one of the most successful prestige drama series, I think, of all time.
I don't know if BoJack Horseman is one of the most successful prestige drama series of all time, but I would agree that he's a very big part of the cast, essential, unable to be removed. I can't think of anything else he's been in, but people seem to like him.
They do, don't they?
They do. I've never seen that god-awful show.
And I recommend you do not. But it's still a big get one way or another.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what role he plays. They do interesting things with the people they cast. It's not just, Aaron Paul's going to be in a show and I like him from one other thing. It's, Fallout has Aaron Paul. What are they going to do with him?
Yeah, this is a good act. This is a good tool. How are they going to use him?
Yeah. Exactly. Very brief foray into wrestling-related news. Dark Side of the Ring, which I've never watched. I don't think a full episode
They're
of.
very popular, and I've seen, I've gathered through osmosis information that has come out in those, but I don't know. I'm fine.
They're often extremely depressing, and that's not the kind of content I see.
Yeah, it's sad.
It is incredibly well made, though. My girlfriend watched a bunch of it years ago and was really gripped by it. But the next season has 7 episodes, a 3-part special on TNA Wrestling and Jeff Jarrett, which should answer a lot of questions people have had. One on Paul Orndorff, one on the Big Boss Man, one on Missy Hyatt, one on Necro Butcher versus Samoa Joe, one on Zach Gowen, and the one after my own heart, the tragic story of Rick Wilson, a.k.a. WCW's The Renegade. I make a point, whenever I have the opportunity in Journey of Wrestling, to do better by him. I was asked, and I don't know if this applies to you or not as well, but I was asked why I don't like Dave Meltzer.
You want to do this here instead of the mailbag?
Yeah, because it's kind of a light wrestling news week for us. We're still off the AEW, so we can't even really talk about.
Mystery Wrestling's still fun.
Yeah. I often express disdain for Dave Meltzer, and that's largely, almost entirely, because he just makes shit up, and people still treat him like a credible source. Or his sources make shit up, and he still reports on it.
And that's 6 of one, half a dozen of another.
Yeah, the end result is the same thing. A fake story gets circulated.
If you are going to purport yourself to be a journalist, you need to kind of do your due diligence. And that means not going on a wild fucking goose chase off one random source. You need to be able to confirm stuff before you put it out in the universe. I don't purport to be a journalist. I could make shit up, and it wouldn't be as serious. Partially because Dave Meltzer has this embedded platform since fucking the 80s?
I believe so, yeah.
So he has weight. His word has weight in the community. His word moves people, moves money, and moves eyeballs. So he has a certain duty of care. And if he is remiss in that duty, if he is lackadaisical in his efforts or neglectful in his due diligence, that means that bullshit spreads through what is ultimately a pretty small community. Wrestling's a big money business, but people who are interested at all plugged into wrestling news is truly just the tiniest little pie slice of people who watch wrestling. So his words have a very outsized effect.
And I think, to a certain degree, you have a responsibility when you are the biggest name. There was a quote that was in the most recent episode of Defunct Land, which was 6 months ago at this point, because that's how that show works now, from Walt Disney. I'm not going to try to quote it exactly because I'm bad at that, but he said something to the effect of, Walt Disney is a separate guy from who I am, and I don't know if I can live up to who Walt Disney is. I smoke, he wouldn't smoke. I do this, he wouldn't do this. And I think in that vein, in that place, the actual Walt Disney understood what he needed to be, even if he failed to live up to that. I don't feel Dave Meltzer understands who he is, and if he does, he doesn't care to live up to any standard.
And you know what? At the end of the day, he clearly doesn't have to. He's doing well by himself, and he keeps getting away with it, and everyone keeps taking his opinion.
So, am I technically that mad at Dave Meltzer? No, I'm madder at the people who continue to support him. On a much lesser portion of why I don't like Dave Meltzer, his match ratings are incredibly skewed, as anyone's would be, but for some reason we only count his.
He's the paper of record for wrestling, and he doesn't recognize that responsibility.
And it's just one guy's opinion, you know?
To be fair, one could easily make the argument he didn't ask to be the paper of record.
No, again, perhaps my issue, and I accept this, is more with his fans and the people who elevate him than who he is personally. But he is the personification of that.
Yep.
The only other bit of news, as reported by Dave Meltzer, it seems that Asuka is mostly retired. She had a match at Backlash that seemed normal until everybody started crying afterward, and a bunch of tributes to her were posted on social media. As of, I believe, either late last night or this morning, well, yesterday, by the time you guys are listening to this, Meltz said that it's his understanding that she's mostly retired, sort of in a Brock Lesnar capacity. Now, it's Meltzer. So, yum, eat up your salt. She might be all the way retired. She might be taking a break. She might be leaving WWE. Who knows?
Who could say?
Who could say? But it certainly does seem like something ended or transitioned after that match. Your thoughts on this bit of information, my friend?
I am going to just take Meltz at his word. That is perhaps foolish, but it's the easiest, most, I think even
if what he says is not exactly right, something has occurred.
Yeah, something has happened. Assuming she is on her way out, good for her. A hell of a career. So long as you're leaving without regrets, I think she's put up a perfectly serviceable example. Like, this is if this is the work product, if this is the total of what you intend to put out into the world in this genre of entertainment, I think you've done a great job.
Yeah, you and I missed some of her best stuff on the main roster, just because we happened not to be watching for other reasons when she was women's champion, when she was dominating the tag scene for her big heel return and run, yada, yada, yada. So she's done a lot of good stuff. What a career. And she is such a talented person, such a dedicated person, such a disciplined person, that even if she's retiring from wrestling, she can go into so many other vocations and succeed.
And I'm hopeful that if she is on her way out, she's doing it on her terms and she's happy.
Yeah, that's what I would hope as well. I think, especially because she has been, over the last few years, talking more and more about how her bump card is getting pretty full. This doesn't seem unbelievable, just the timing is unexpected. It is a surprise.
Well, I mean, for a lot of wrestlers, unless you're crazy, and a lot of wrestlers are crazy, when it's time, your body is what determines that.
Yeah.
So you don't find out until it tells you.
Sure. But thank you, Asuka, for the memories. And you know what? If you're back on Monday Night Raw every week for the next 5 years, still thanks. I don't know when we're going to watch that shit again. And closing us out today, we have our mail fraud. We only have 2 questions today because, wow, we talked for a long time about Daredevil. But we're going to take a real one. We're going to take a stolen one. Real one is going to come from KTL, Distrucity KTL, that is to say. Here's an interesting one I'll grab. How did you become an opossum and a robot?
That one is very interesting. Why don't you... I think yours is more interesting, so you go first.
It's at the end of the show. I'm just going to be out there. I've been a furry since before I knew what one of those was. That's not true. I saw Rockadoodle as a kid. But I didn't know the context for that word. But I never really had like a fursona. I never had an animal that I related to over anything else. And I put a lot of effort into searching, and I have a lot of animals I love. And then one day, about 12 years ago, thereabouts, I stumbled across the noble opossum. And I just found a kinship with them. Misunderstood, kind of lumbery. I do sort of walk like possums walk. Just living in your trash and doing their best. And I just had a deep relation to it that has stuck ever since. I think they're really fascinating animals. I think they're quite lovely. They're incredibly soft. They're kind. They have anxiety attacks that cause them to shit themselves and fall unconscious. I don't make a habit of shitting myself, but for a while there, I was having anxiety attacks that rendered me unconscious. So, cool little goth gloves, fingerless, black, very neat, lovely little animals. That's about the long and short of it. I looked for an animal to relate to, and
at long last found one.
Yeah, and that's it's stuck ever since.
Mine is kind of I don't know that it's a long story. I have kind of self-conceptualized as a robot for a long time. This is most likely due to particular conditions that I probably have that are undiagnosed, so I'm not going to be taking credit for them here on the internet.
GERD.
No, that one's just straight up diagnosed. That one's on my chart, brother. But because of that, I think in a slightly different pattern than, as I gather, most people do. And when I was younger and did not have the necessary knowledge and vocabulary to understand what that meant about myself, it caused me to think of myself as more robotic, less emotionally driven than other people. This is, of course, complete hooey. I am as emotionally driven as anyone else, but when you're young, you make silly pronouncements about yourself because you're seeking meaning.
It really gives you insight into how early cultures invented myths for things they could not explain. Because what do we do when we're young but go, wow, what's going on? I must have a this. I must be a this way. Even if we don't believe it, this characterized contextualization feels almost real to us when we don't have the language to describe it.
So that has been the case for many years. Now, that fell off as I aged. Obviously, it's a little twee. But as I aged, I also became more and more separate from a thing you guys know about me. My name, The Boy. I've had that name since I was a very, very small child. I have many sisters. I have no blood relation brothers. So I was the only boy in the house most of the time. And my actual regular human name is not one that my brain recognizes as belonging to me because it's the same one my dad has. So they would get my attention by saying, "Hey, boy," and that became my nickname, and it's been my nickname ever since. But as I've aged, I have become more separate from that. My compatriot here started calling me Robot several years ago. It is a pun that I will not explain. But I grew more attached to it as a name that I felt matched who I am now. And that became such a thing that when my friend offered to make me a new little icon for our YouTube channel and for Discord, he made me a little robot. And I love this fucking robot. My friend made me a little YouTube Sona, and I fucking love this little dude. He is the best little dude. This little dude you're seeing, he's the best little dude. I fucking love it. It is designed to look exactly what I think is cool. The thing you're seeing, I think that looks cool as fuck.
The only other details I'd like to supply, thinking about them and you sharing, and thank you for that, your personal journey with being who you are. I am specifically a Virginia opossum, and it is the opossum. I usually drop the O because most people don't care. Australian possums are a different thing. They are clearly related, but also obviously a different kind of creature. And I like the Virginia possums with their gray fur and the specific patterns. We don't do our faces on the YouTube, even though it would probably get us more attention because people love seeing faces on thumbnails.
We're homely, man. Well, no, I am. He's handsome.
He's fine. If you guys are fans of Supernatural, he probably looks just very nice to you. I'm gonna let them believe you are perfect resemblance of Dean Winchester. That's gonna be the...
If only. My shit would be on the internet if that were the case.
I'm quite comely, but I just don't... I just don't like being represented by my face. It just feels really personal to me. I mean, my face is out there. If you really want to see it, that's fine. I'm not like a luchador or anything.
If you like stalked me, I'm not terribly hard to track down. You could figure out who I am. Please don't.
Yeah, that's creepy. But
I can't stop you, but that's fucking weird.
But I did want to put our signature on stuff, and this seemed like the best way to do it, was to represent us through stuff that I had for my Twitch channel already, and then, invent something for you that was of equal import. Our other question is going to come stolen from the All Elite Arcade podcast. This one's
if we don't steal, then the name isn't right.
Right. We still have to steal some stuff. From John. How do you feel about difficulty options in games, such as story, normal, and hard? And what difficulty do you usually play on? Thank you so much, John, for that question. I'm sure Evil Uno and the Chugs loved it.
I also like it.
Yeah, I think it's an important question to ask. Why don't you go first, pal?
Okay. I love them. I think difficulty options are great. I think I want everything from, to use the one that sticks in my head, even though I've never really played these games, give me story to give me God of War. I like the ones that are, razz you a little bit for playing the easy baby mode. I like that. I think it's great. I like those options. I like accessibility options in general. Some people are, elite, hyper gamers with like amazing Twitch reflexes, and they're fucking 14, so they want the hardest possible option. Some people are chopped and unk like me and don't have the fucking speed anymore, so we can't hack the high one, but we still want to play the game, so having lower difficulty options for people who suck like me, great. I think that's really good. I also am perfectly fine if a game doesn't have them. That's got to be a decision that the people who make the game make.
Sure.
And all options are valid there. I usually play on whatever the default is.
I echo your sentiments. I also normally play on whatever the default option is. In my Half-Life playthrough, that's currently our limited series, probably for this year, is going to be by the end of it. I switched to easy partway through Half-Life 2 because it just wasn't fun. Enemies were such bullet sponges that I wasn't having a good time. It stopped being about like feeling like I'm doing a thing and more like I was being tasked with clicking something enough time. It just felt like doing the same thing over and over again.
It felt less like a shooter and more like cookie clicker.
Not that bad. Like, there were, if I could have been more tactically minded, but I didn't want to be. I wanted to be challenged, and even still on easy, I died a couple times, and it wasn't like dumb shit, like, oops, I jumped off a cliff. There were challenging sections of that game, but the actual moment-to-moment killing guys experience stopped feeling tactical and difficult and started feeling like I'm just fighting a bunch of bullet sponges. It felt like I wasn't shooting a gun at guys.
That is a thing. That's a great insight into what we mean by difficulty settings. There is a kind of difficulty that isn't good, but it's so vague as to be unhelpful. Difficulty that is done through just making your enemies have more hit points and you do less damage feels shitty. Because it feels like you are using a water gun or a wet noodle or whatever it is.
I was very careful to look up what happened when you changed the difficulty down on Half-Life 2 and see if it had any effect on the AI, and it didn't. And then I was okay with doing that because I wanted to still have smart, challenging enemies. I just didn't want to be fighting them for 10 minutes.
The Pathfinder games. I've played both Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous. I never beat Wrath of the Righteous. I did beat Kingmaker. They have a great way of doing difficulty, which makes it that Baldur's Gate 3 also does a bunch of.
A lot of modern games do this.
Which is incredibly granular. So if you want regular hit points, but the enemies are smarter, you can do that. If you want, like, the enemies remain dumb as rocks, but they all got 1 billion hit points, I don't understand you, but that option's open to you too.
I think if I had my dream, I would have The only thing I would have tweaked is to either have my guns do slightly more damage or to have the enemies have slightly less hit points. That's what I would have done. Maybe, I don't know, a quarter less hit points. Just make my kills feel like they were something, my shots feel like they were something.
Make the guns feel good.
Yeah.
If you're playing a shooter and the guns don't feel good, why the fuck am I here?
By contrast, the first couple of times I played through Skyrim, I increased the difficulty to whatever the one up from easy was, or normal was.
And that's just because you did want them to have more hit points, because you wanted to play more of the Skyrim.
Yeah, I really liked the sword and shield combat. That's what I was doing, so I wanted to have more of that back and forth engagement, so I turned up the difficulty. I also, echoing sentiments you've said before, I think on our eventual Elden Ring playthrough, that starts in 2 weeks for those of you who aren't on the Patreon. It'll be up Thursday for those of you who are. Sometimes difficulty isn't a choice you make at the opening menu. Sometimes it's a series of choices you make throughout the game. Sometimes it's choosing your starter in Pokemon. Those are your difficulty options. It makes things easier from the jump, or harder if you'd prefer. Charmander's going to have a rough time in the rock gym.
He does, but I did it anyway because Charmander's the best.
And there are so many tools in Soulsborne games for you to have an easier experience, so long as they aren't Sekiro.
Yeah, in Sekiro, it is really just purely, get good, dog, I don't tell you.
As it pertains to Soulsborne games specifically, I don't think there should be difficulty options beyond what's already in there.
Because there's a lot. Use your tools.
Well, and also, the game wouldn't be good. At least if you're anything like me, you wouldn't derive joy from that. Now, I've said this speech before. I think I say it on the Elden Ring playthrough. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself from the past in the future.
That's what happens when you have actual consistent opinions.
I remember my mom and sister playing Super Mario World with the Game Genie and having the star on all the time when all of that was age appropriate. And I was baffled because they were having so much fun with a task that required no expression of skill.
Beyond jumping over the pits.
Beyond jumping over the pits. But they were panicked when an enemy came after them, even though the enemy could do nothing to them. And I don't want to invalidate that fun, but I also feel like, especially in the games journalism world we live in, having an easy difficulty on a Soulsborne game is going to be everybody saying that your game is crap because they finished it even faster because they played on easy to get through it before deadline.
At the end of the day, that's why I say it has to be the developer decision.
Yes, I agree.
If the people who make the Soulsborne games think that they don't want a difficulty slider, they want you to be able to make the game easier. If you're smart and use your tools, which is what they actually want, that's valid. That's as valid as any other decision.
Sure.
If you just want to make your game punishingly hard, fuck you, get good, that's valid.
That's also a choice.
I'm not going to play your game, Kaizo Mario people. You're crazy people. But, it's a valid choice.
Speaking of valid choices, you know who made a valid choice to give us money? Why, that is everyone who's cool, including our trash elite, a guy from Ohio, and Rob, Passion Killer 711, DG, Kitty Holbrook, Drake Starstorm, and Destrucity KTL. Join us at the Patreon, get all those benefits I talked about earlier. Check out that Elden Ring playthrough starting this Thursday if you're one of those Patreon subscribers. It's just $1.
Just $1.
It's just $1. Any final words to sign us off with, you gooey silly boy?
Watch Daredevil.